morning. Good morning. It is time. It is time. Okay, let's start our class. What? Okay, all right. Thank you, sir. Okay, let's start our class. Beautiful people. What a good mood we have. Let's start with prayer requests that we have in order to pray here. I'll start. I ask for your prayers for my country because this month and the next one, October, November, are the rain month. And it comes with the floods and stuff like that. And you can see, for example, a 2-level house full of water to the roof. And a lot of people, lose all the things, cars dragged by the water on the streets. And that's sad. So it is supposed to be like November, the whole month, but start early in October. For example, just to give you an example, the last week started to rain last Monday, and it's raining today, nonstop, the whole days. No, there's not a hurricane yet, but it's one becoming after the rain. There's a hurricane coming, so it's sad. Yes.
We'll pray for comfort for sweet Brittany. Her mama passed away. So.
Okay.
Yeah, and they will be here today. Her and her sons, maybe Tracy, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Let's see here. This side here. Okay. This side here. This side here. Okay, Mr. Jack, could you pray to start this class?
Father, we're thankful for the night's rest and thankful for the opportunity to be here today. We thank you for loving us and taking care of us. We know those, Father, of our church family here who are suffering and hurting and need your help. We just ask that you be with them. Especially today, we ask you to be with Joy and Bill. Fellowship with our congregation tonight today and preparing to leave the latter part of the week. We just ask that you be with their family and especially those two. They have been so much to our congregation here. Put your hand on them and protect them. Just ask, Father, that we continue to serve you, that new people work here in our area, and may the work here continue to grow. Be with us today as we work with you and fellowship with you. If we do you wrong, Father, we just ask that you bless and forgive us in Christ's name.
Okay. Last Sunday, I'll tell you. I received a complaint because, that I like to speak on those topics and stuff like that. But 10:15 tell me like, no more. And I just tell me, oh, okay. Okay. Let's start with something from our last class. Do you remember the meaning of the word liturgy?
Work or service of people.
Excuse me?
Work or service of the people.
Okay, the work or the public service of the church, that's correct. It means that all what we do in church, in our service, that's liturgy. The prayers, the songs, the preaching, the Lord's Supper, all that stuff makes part of our liturgy. And why am I asking that? Because as you remember, last Sunday we talked that the chapter 1, verses 1 to 8 is a liturgical dialogue. And do you remember the exercise? And when I read one part and you read the other part, this is because that's why the book of Revelation is written as a public service, as a liturgy, as a worship service, and you will see that also today. Our class today is about Revelation chapter 1 from verses 9 to 20. We will see the final of this chapter. And next Sunday we will start with the chapter 2. But for now, verses 9 to 20. I suppose I want to believe that during this week you read Revelation chapter 1, verses 9 to 20. I want to believe that. And the question is, do you have questions on this piece of the scripture, on this part? Do you have questions? Let me see. Okay. That's a good question. We will talk about it. What other question do you have? I mean, if you have another one, I don't know. No, it's okay. 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 Any other question? Okay. Let's see. After the dialogue, it means the liturgy. In verses 1 to 8, now John will be in contact with the what? Risen Christ. Remember, we have a liturgy. The reader, the one who is reading to the church, is reading one part, and the church responds, "It shall it be, amen," because this is a liturgy. But also, you need to remember something. It's a liturgy, and I don't know if you remember also that the book of Revelation is described as a person who is walking into the what? Let me see if you remember. Into the temple, inside of the temple, the tabernacle. And then you will start to see all the furniture, all the instruments of the tabernacle. You will see it in the whole book of Revelation. For example, the lampstands, and we will see why. But for now, we have a liturgy, and now we have contact with the risen Christ. But how? We have our first section of these chapters, on this chapter 1, verses 9 to 20. Reader.
I, John, your brother and companion in the suffering and kingdom and patient endurance that are ours in Jesus, was on the island of Patmos because the word of God and the testimony of Jesus.
Okay, after this liturgical dialogue, now John identifies himself as a brother. Now I, John, your brother and companion in the suffering and kingdom and patient endurance that are ours in Jesus. He's telling the people, like, I'm an apostle, yes, but I am also suffering what you are suffering. He identifies with the church that suffers the persecution because of the Roman Empire. But look, he's an apostle, but he says, I'm your brother. I'm your companion in the suffering and the kingdom and patient endurance. So he's identifying himself as a person who is suffering with the church. Why this is important? I was where? The island of what? Patmos. John is a victim of, I will explain what is the island of Patmos right now. John is a victim of the persecution too. So all the Christians, truly Christians, are suffering the persecution. Number two, the only apostle who did not die as a martyr was John. Do you know how John died?
Naturally.
Yeah, on his bed. He was the only one, but he suffered a lot, and now you will see it along the book of Revelation. I will give you a couple of things that he suffered because of his faith. And number three, he was sent to the island of Patmos as a part of his exile. Look, do you remember now when I was explaining, and the book of Revelation says that this book is, it was sent to the churches in Asia Minor. And I told you the 7 churches that are located in this section, Asia Minor. That thing that you see here in the circle, that's the island of Patmos. That's how it looks. Could you see it? But why he needs to go to the island of Patmos? Let me see. Do you know what the island of Patmos was? What?
Went into prison.
Correct. It was a prison. It was a prison for political enemies of Rome. And why they sent it to this island? Number one, because it's far to any other part of the continent, but also because it was a very wild island. So the intention or the aim of the emperors or governors when they send people to the island of Patmos is expect to die, the enemies. Because you don't have fresh water, you don't have a lot of food, is the wilderness. So if you want to drink water, you need to drink salt water from the sea. If you want to eat, maybe you need to catch a lizard or something like that. If you want to eat, if you don't want to eat, then you die. And for example, in my case, I can drink the salt water, not eat the lizards, because the lizards is the only thing in the earth that I am scared about.
There's a lot of them here.
And I'm not telling you about alligators. I am not scared about alligators. I'm talking to you about little lizards. Pretty scared about it. And just to tell you, I remember one time during the Dominican Republic, Carolina left a window open and a lizard came into the house. And when I saw that, I went out of the house and I say, we cannot be here together. So it's the lizard of me. So get it out now. I'm scared about that. Just being funny. Well, it is true. It is true that I am pretty scared about that. But just to tell you that I will die if I'm sent to Patmos. But it was a prison for political enemies of Rome. And then that's why John was sent to the island of Patmos, because he was an enemy of the empire. Why? Because the truly Christianity, it's enemy of the powers of the world. Because the message of Christ is against the powers of the world. So, do not expect to be Christian and receive flowers everywhere. No, because our message is about the sin. And people likes the sin. the message of the gospel is about light, and people loves the darkness. Then the message of Christ in the first century and now 21st century too is against all powers. And that's why John was sent to a prison to die. But in persecution, in a prison, he receives a message from the risen Christ. That's beautiful. In the middle of the wilderness, when he doesn't have the resources to be well, he talked to Christ. I'll give you another example. Israel had a lot of conversations, a lot of encounters with God. Where? In the wilderness. Because the wilderness is a very symbolic place in the Bible. The wilderness is the place of the words of God. Do you remember the temptations of Jesus? Where does it happen? In the wilderness too. Where Israel have the encounter with God? In the wilderness. And now John, he had an encounter in the wilderness with Christ. But now, okay. We have verse 10.
On the Lord's day, I was in the Spirit, and I heard behind me a loud voice like a trumpet, which said, "Write on a scroll what you see, and send it to the 7 churches, to Ephesus, Smyrna, Pergamum, Thyatira, Sardis, Philadelphia, and Laodicea."
Okay. Here we have the 7 churches. You already saw that in chapter 1, a couple of verses before. But now you have a very interesting statement in verse 10. On the Lord's day. Now I will give you the space to give me your opinion on what is the meaning of that, on the Lord's day. Let me see your thoughts on it. What do you think it is, the Lord's day? Excuse me?
First day of the week.
First day of the, you mean Sunday, right? Okay, first day of the week. Let's see.
It could also mean the day that he was either born or the day he was crucified or risen.
Okay, the day he was crucified and you mean he was risen, right? Okay, that is the Sunday too. So you both are in the same line on the Lord's day. Any other opinion?
Every day?
Okay, we have here every day. But let me tell you, this is a verse that has a little controversy because there's a lot of people who thinks this is about Sunday, I mean the day of the resurrection, as you said. But there's another group of people who think that this is a very special day, like the final day of the end of the world. And I will give you the reasons why this is a Sunday. This is not a special day or the final day of the revelation of Jesus Christ. This is a Sunday. Number one, first of all, this is the Greek statement. This is how we read it in Greek, the day of the Lord, the ente kuriake imera. It is the day of the Lord. But what is the meaning of the day of the Lord in the first century? Number one, that's what you have here. If you say Sunday, maybe you don't catch all the message, but I will give you a hint in different languages. We call it in English Sunday, that is the day of the sun, and this has a meaning that we don't need to discuss right now. But this term here, that is in the term in Greek, the day of the Lord, when they translate it to Latin, the Dies Dominicus, of the day of the Lord. But if you translate it to Spanish, it is domingo. That's the word that we use in Spanish for this day, domingo. That also means the day of the Lord. Because in the first century and after the first century, they start to call the Sunday the day of the Lord. It means before we have the name Sunday in English, because all the invasions of Anglo and Saxon tribes forget that. In English, just to not overwhelm you with a lot of history and stuff like that. Before all of that, they used to call the Sunday, this day, the day of the Lord. Why? Mr. Primo said something interesting, because it's the day of the resurrection of Jesus. All the churches start to gather to have the meetings, the worship services on Sunday, because it is the day of the resurrection. And this is why, if you read the book of Acts, you will see that they used to have their meetings the first day of the week, the day of the Lord, the Sunday. And why do we think now that John is receiving this revelation on Sunday? Number one, remember the dialogue liturgy. As I told you, that John is writing the book of Revelation as a worship service. And the question is, when the worship services used to happen? When? Sunday. In ancient church, you don't have like Sunday meetings, Wednesday meetings, women breakfast and stuff like that. You don't have that. You only have Sunday service. They don't have that freedom that we have now, that we agreed to gather like Tuesdays 10:30 for a women's class and stuff like that, or have a men's breakfast. It doesn't exist. We can do that because we are free. But in the first century, they just have the Sunday, the day of the Lord, the Dominicus Day, the Kuriake Mera, just to have their meetings. Then the book of Revelation is worship contextualized. That's why you will see a lot of worship, songs, and a lot of things that you will see right now. Number 3, it is the day of the resurrection. And John is talking to the risen Christ. But also, if you read the fathers of the church like Origen, Justin Martyr, and a beautiful book that we call the Didache, you will see that also they used to call the Sunday, since the very first century, the Sunday, the day of the Lord. So it is not a very special day, final day. It is, in the context of the worship in the book of Revelation, John is receiving, the first thing that you see is the worship when the reader read and the church respond. It is the worship service. And this worship service, who is celebrated in the worship service? The risen Christ. Who appeared right now? Who will appear that you will see? Who is showing up? The risen Christ. And also, what you have here is the day of the Lord. Okay. Questions here? Yes.
I don't know how John would have known what day it was, because he was in the wilderness. I don't know how long he'd been there. But he wouldn't have had, I don't know how he would, I don't understand how he could have known that. So I thought perhaps he said it was the day of the Lord, because that was the day the Lord appeared to him.
Okay, I understand the question. But remember also something. They don't have like iPhones or tablets or a calendar to see what day is today. The only method that they used to have to understand what day is the sun. That's why they don't have a watch to say, oh, it's Sunday, it's time to go to church. They don't do that. They have on their heads, if the sun is coming and the sun comes and goes, then it is Monday. Sun comes and goes again, it is Tuesday. So they have that in their consciousness about, what day is because of the change of the sun. That's number one. But number two, remember something. If you listen songs, prayers, and stuff like that, it means that it's Sunday. Now, it's different. That's what I said. That now, we have the chance to worship, read the Bible, and all that stuff, do it wherever we want. But if they listen songs, prayers, and the Word of God, it means that it's Sunday. And I don't know if I'm clear okay. Okay. Now he says something interesting. He says, I was in the what? The Spirit. Now we know that it's a worship day, and not because it is like a regular Sunday, just because it's not. I will repeat my ideas. It is not like a regular Sunday. The thing that John wants to communicate through the day of the Lord is not that it was Sunday when I received the revelation. He's telling us, I am receiving a revelation from the risen Christ. And if we have a contact, if I have communication with the risen Christ, it means that I need to worship. And if it's worship, it is Sunday. Are you okay? Are you with me? Yes. Okay. Then he was also in the Spirit. And what is the meaning of that?
The state he was in.
Okay, many people also, we have different opinions on what is the meaning of being in the Spirit in that day. And many people could think on a very ecstatic state when people fall and stuff like that. But the meaning of this statement is, I am in the Spirit. Remember, it was a conversation of Jesus with Nicodemus and a couple of the disciples, be in the Spirit. And also Paul says, we need to be in the Spirit. And what is the meaning of that? Number one, he's especially connected with the Spirit, special connection. But number two, only a church connected to the Spirit will be able to understand the rhythm of history and its final destiny. What I am trying to say is, when he says, I am in the Spirit, he says, I will see things that normal people cannot see. And you will see what's he gonna see now. I will see things that only God can show to people connected with him. It means, if we as a church, we are not connected with the Spirit, we will not able to understand the rhythm of history. That's why you got a lot of Christians that they don't know what's happening in the world, and they don't know how the history of the world goes and comes and stuff like that, what is happening. They are crazy about it. But this book, specifically this book, is designed to tell you, I will tell you what's happening with the history. So when I say connected with the Spirit, I'm not telling you to speak languages, fall in the floor and stuff like that. It's late touching my front and I fall in the floor. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about what Paul says. Be connected with the Spirit. Be in the Spirit. Reflect, have the outcome in our lives of our relationship with the Spirit. And he's in the Spirit because now he will see something that is not common for regular eyes. But now we have the sequence. In the worship service, now, on the day of the Lord, now he's connected with the Spirit. That's what happened in the church. Our public service, our liturgy in the church, it is supposed to be of people connected with God, people connected with the Spirit, people who are aware of the day of the Lord, of the presence of Jesus Christ, but also people ready to worship. But now he says, and I will go back to the text. He says, when he was in the Spirit, he received a voice. And what kind of voice? A voice like a trumpet. In Greek, salpinx. This is the meaning of trumpet. In Hebrew, shofar. Do you know what is a shofar? There's a lot of people now who likes to do that kind of stuff. But I will let you know. In the Old Testament, the shofar, it was a horn of a ram, and they used to sound that when the battle is about to start. But also, they used the shofar when God is in the place. So when the armies of God in the Old Testament are fighting or are about to fight to start a war, there's a messenger who comes with that ram horn, and he sounded. And he's announcing, number one, that's a warning. It's a call to attention of the people of God, so the armies of God, when they listen, when they hear the shofar sounding, they know that God is about to come. Number two, to communicate the victory of God's people. So you can start the war, but when the shofar sounds, it means God is coming to the battlefield. But also to announce God's eruption into the history and to inspire the armies. So when John hear this voice like a trumpet, like a shofar, it means I am about to talk with God. God is telling me. God is calling my attention. See, God is calling me to give my attention to His words. God is calling me to communicate to me the victory of the God's people. God will start to announce God's eruption on history. Or God will tell me how the history comes and goes. Okay?
Yes.
And that's why we have a trumpet here. But now, that's what you have. And I heard behind me a loud voice like a trumpet. And, I put it twice, sorry. And he says something.
Which said, write on a scroll what you see and send it to the 7 churches. To Ephesus.
Okay. And the 7 churches. Okay. Write on a scroll what you see and send it to the churches. Remember, this is a space where we have the 7 churches. That's what's going to happen. And I turned around to see the voice that was speaking to me. And when I turned, I saw, and that's a question, 7 golden lampstands. What is the meaning of the lampstands? I'll give you. When John sees the 7 is there time? Okay, we have time. When John sees the 7 lampstands, the Christian Jewish reader, the people who are receiving the message of the book of Revelation in that time, immediately understand that this refers to the presence of God and His people in worship. If you go to the book of Exodus, chapter 25, 27, and 34, you will see that in the tabernacle, they have the lampstand. And the lampstand means the presence of God and the light of God in the worship place. But also, remember, I told you, the book of Revelation is described as a person who is walking into the tabernacle. And do you know what is the last part of the tabernacle? Do you remember that? Where God is. So John now starts to walk into the tabernacle, into the presence of God. And the first stage is the lampstand. So he was out. He was listening, and that's why what you see verses 1 to 8. He listened, the singing in the inside part, but now Jesus Christ tells him, come in. And now he's walking into the tabernacle, the temple, just in order to be in the presence of God, that you will see in the chapter 4 and 5, because now he will understand what is happening in the presence of God. It's the only place where you can understand our destiny, our fate. So, what we have right now is the Christian people who was reading, listening this book, they know if the lampstands are here means that John is coming into the presence of God step by step, and the revelations start to grow. I use a term, increscendo. The book of Revelation is growing. So we have our very first step, the lampstands. And the lampstand was a candle place, instrument in the tabernacle with 7 arms. It was like 3 and 3 and just one in the middle. And they need to put oil on it, and they need to keep it on fire. And it means God is here, but also it means if we have fire on this lampstand, means that we have the worship here. Yeah.
That's so perfect because crescendo, like you said, is a musical term.
Of
And
course.
it's growing, and it says that he sings over us. So it is like an orchestra of sorts.
And you will see the people of God inside singing too. And she say, when I see all the people of God singing, holy, holy,
Yes.
because John is going into the worship service. That's the book of Revelation is describing. A worship service when God is the preacher.
Yes.
And he's telling us how he will have a victory over evil.
Yes.
And when John comes out of the temple or the tabernacle is when he says to the people of God, we won.
Yes.
But we will see it in the, I feel the goosebumps.
Yes.
But okay, you will see it along the book of Revelation. But now, this is beautiful.
Yes.
Are you here with me?
Yes.
Are you really here with me? Okay. It says, and among the lampstands, okay, do you understand the lampstands here? Okay, the worship place. But now was someone like a son of man. Beautiful thing. In the middle of the lampstands, and remember, the lampstands means the presence of God. But he was among the lampstands. And he will tell us also what is happening with the lampstands. Someone like the Son of Man. And you read in the Gospels, Jesus said a lot of times, I am the Son of Man. The Son of Man doesn't have where to lay his head and stuff like that. But what is the meaning of the Son of Man? Many people say, Jesus is telling us through the Son of Man that it is truly human. Right. It is not wrong. It is right. But it has a deeper meaning on the Christian and Jewish culture, and that's what I'm going to explain right now. And maybe because of the time, this is the last part that we will see this morning. Who's the Son of Man that Jesus says? Number one, reader, Daniel 7:13.
In my vision at night, I looked, and there before me was one like a son of man, coming with the clouds of heaven. He approached the Ancient of Days and was led into his presence.
Okay, it doesn't mean that that John is fulfilling the prophecy of Daniel. It means that John is borrowing the Daniel's term for his own scripture, for his own book. But what is the meaning of that? Son of Man. If I say Son of Man, it doesn't have a deeper meaning. Maybe we cannot understand. Even if I say it in Spanish, El Hijo del Hombre, it doesn't mean much. Yes. Okay, it is. But in Greek, he used a word that is homios, that means he is. But I will explain in Greek what is, because he is like. The comparison is very a Jewish thing. For that reason, you say Jesus when he says, the kingdom of God is like, because it's a very common term to make a comparison here. But when John is using the Son of Man, he's telling us he's like Daniel used to say. I don't know if I am explaining myself.
Is it okay if I read a verse?
Okay.
This is Matthew 24, verse 30. And then the sign of the Son of Man will appear in the sky, and then all the tribes of the earth will mourn, and they will see the Son of Man coming on the clouds of the sky with power and great glory.
Correct. Also, Matthew is a great reader of Daniel. We can see all how Matthew, and it's a Jewish, very Jewish term to say that thing is like. In this case, if you read Daniel, he's not saying, there before me was one like a son of man. But what is the meaning of the son of man? And that's what I'm about to say now. Son of man comes from the Hebrew Ben Adam. Do you know any word here? Adam. Okay, we are okay with that. Do you know who's Adam, right? Who? Okay. Who?
He's the first guy. The first,
Yeah, the first guy here. That's right.
first guy here.
I'm just asking in order to be clear what I am showing you now. Are you ready? Okay, read this verse now. Reader.
And I will put enmity between you and the woman, and between your offspring,
Okay, wait. Between what?
your offspring and hers.
Okay, keep reading.
He will crush your head, and you will strike his heel.
Do you have it?
Yes.
Adam here, he was the first guy. But remember, when the fall happened, God came and told the women, now you did wrong and stuff like that. But he says, and I will put
Enmity.
that word,
Yeah.
between you and woman, and between your offspring and hers. If the woman has an offspring, who's the other part? Adam. It means the other part. Okay? And he will crush your head, and you will strike his heel. What God is telling Eve at that moment is the son of Eve will destroy the serpent, the snake, Satan. But now he's telling us the offspring of Adam. That is a man of Ben, son, child, offspring of Adam. If you don't understand, I will give you another one. This is Romans chapter 5. Reader.
But the gift is not like the trespass. For if the many died by the trespass of the one man, how much more did God's grace and the gift that came by the grace of the one man, Jesus Christ,
Sorry to stop you. Man, okay, keep reading.
overflow to the many? Nor can the gift of God be compared with the result of one man's sin. The judgment followed one sin and brought condemnation, but the gift followed many trespasses and brought justification. For if, by the trespass of the one man, death reigned through that one man, how much more will those who receive God's abundant provision of grace and of the gift of righteousness reign in life through the one man, Jesus Christ?
You got it?
Yes.
Kind of?
We have sin through Adam. We have grace and resurrection and life and everything good through Jesus Christ.
Okay, I will give you another one. Reader. You had a hard work here.
Consequently, just as one trespass resulted in condemnation for all people,
Who's that? Okay.
so also one righteous act resulted in justification and life for all people. For just as though the disobedience of the one man, the many were made sinners, so also through the obedience of the one man, the many will be made righteous.
Yes.
Do you have it?
Yes.
I will give you another one. The Son of Man, the Ben Adam, means the second Adam or the new Adam. and that's Jesus Christ.
The best
I will give you another one.
So it is written, the first man, Adam, became a living being. The last Adam, a life-giving spirit.
Okay, now you have it? Okay, Jesus Christ is described as a second Adam. That's the meaning of the Son of Man. The second Adam. Why a second Adam?
because he's flesh, but other than that, he's always been.
That's right. But also, Adam fails in the garden and lead us to the wilderness. Jesus triumphs on the desert and lead us back to the garden. Okay, the Son of Man means that the first Adam, it means in Genesis, he fell. He cannot stand because the sin and stuff like that. But now, as 1 Corinthians says, and Romans chapter 5 says, we have a second Adam. It means Jesus. This Adam is not going to fall. And that's why and I will give you a glimpse of the book of Revelation. At the very end of the book of Revelation, the heaven looks like the Garden of Eden. Because it's like we are returning to the original place. Jesus Christ is taking us back to the original place. When Adam fell, Jesus Christ won.
Yes.
Okay? Then now, that's why he says, 15, so I need to end this class. And I have a lot to say. But for now, when John turned around and he says, I saw one like a son of man. He says, I am looking the second Adam. I am looking the ultimate Adam. Why? Why? And Jesus says, I am the Son of Man. We read Daniel. You also read Matthew when he says the Son of Man. Because when we read the Son of Man, it's not like he's human. He's telling us he is the second Adam. He's the one who will recover all the lost thing on the creation. He will restore all what the first Adam lost.
He reconciles us to God.
Correct.
Yes.
Adam was in the Garden of Eden, and Eden is not, and I have been telling you, I have told you a couple of times this, Eden it is not just a place, it's a very symbolic meaning. Eden means abundance, wealthy. So it means that when God created everything, he put Adam in abundance. And when he sinned, he goes out of the abundance of God. And that's why Jesus Christ, we as fallen creatures, we are living in the world in a very poor place like the world. But when we receive Jesus Christ, when we embrace the gospel, now we are led to the abundance of God again. So this path of being Christians, we are walking to Eden again. We are walking to be, remember, in the Garden of Eden, God used to walk in the middle of everything. And now you will see right now, next class, that God is walking among the lampstands, among the churches, like Eden, because this is the idea of the book of Revelation, the return to the Garden of Eden. So I need to finish right now because it is, and just to avoid the complaints. But question. Do you understand the Son of Man term?
Adam was the perfect man, who lost.
No, it is because when I ask, many people say like, yeah, yeah. Did you understand the Son of Man?
Yes.
Okay, kind of. Looks like, okay. If you don't have questions, you can text me. We can talk about that. And next Sunday, I will explain a little bit more on this, okay? Because I have a lot to say, but not the time to say it. Then I will see you next Sunday, my beautiful people. See you in the worship service.
It was a good class.
Thank you.
Very good.
1545. Yes, sir.
Question for you.
Yeah.
Okay, John was exiled, right? He was put on the island. Was he alone?
Maybe not.
But see, we don't. It says he was exiled, so I'm trying to figure out if he was alone. If he was alone, how did Revelation get off the island?
Well,
Where was it found?
Well, where?
Where was the book of Revelation found? It
Oh.
had to be found on that island because if he was alone, it couldn't come on.
No,
the island.
because after that he didn't die in the island. He returned.
I don't see that in the Bible.
Yeah, you will see it, and you will see in history that he returned. When the emperor dies, they open the prison, and he returned to Ephesus. He died in Ephesus.
I have no record in that in the Bible where he died and what age he died.